I'm gonna show you guys how beautiful the mountains are right now. Snow on the top, snow-capped mountains. It's been raining nonstop in California and it's been really cold lately. I love it. I love how it looks. This is me zoomed in at like 9x, you guys. Look at how freaking pretty that is. My hands are shaking. So I'm filming in my car. Setup is a little off, but I'm hoping that it works. I'm hoping that the lighting works as well. I have 4 books that I want to talk about and we'll just get started, okay? We'll just get started. The first book I read is Powerless by Elsie. I really had high hopes for this. I really had such high hopes for this book because I loved Flawless. I loved Heartless. Heartless was one of my favorite books last year. So obviously Powerless, I was just so excited to get to it. And when I started it, I will say that I kept an open mind in the sense that because I knew how much I loved Heartless, I didn't want to go into the book being like, okay, well, it has to like reach the same expectations that I had with the other books. I just wanted it to be a clear mind, you know, I'm gonna take the book for what it was. And I did. This follows Jasper and I believe, what was her name? Sloan? No, it's not Sloan, is it? No, hold on. What's her name? Yeah, Sloan, I was right. Jasper and Sloan, this follows. Which I feel like I've been reading a lot of books that either have the name Jasper in it or has the name Sloan in it. This is Friends to Lovers, and she's always had a crush on him. It was unrequited love for a long time. And then it basically starts off where she's gonna marry this guy, and she basically becomes a runaway bride, you know, and he helps her escape her wedding. The guy's an asshole, and he realizes that he has feelings for Sloan, and so they kind of go on this road trip together, and that's how it starts. I love Friends to Lovers. That's one of my favorite tropes. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love it. I just love like that tension between them when they start to kind of realize that they're so into each other. And I feel like it was here, but it wasn't here. You know, like it was in the vicinity, but not where I needed it to be. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I felt with this. I'm still very much excited to read the next book, which I think is going to be Theo and Winter. And, you know, you'll see their scenes here. You'll see the little setup, which I did like. But Powerless, I really had high hopes for this one. He's a hockey player, in case I forgot to mention that. And she's a ballerina. I really wanted to love it. I really hoped that it was going to get 5 stars out of me, you know, or even like 4.5. But it didn't. It got 3.5. God, that's good. Okay, let's move on to my second book that I read in February because it sure is something. The second book I read, I really wanted to DNF. I probably should have DNF'd. I started this book because I was like, I want a marriage of convenience book, and this is exactly what it was. I want all of the recs. I want to read every single one. I don't care that every single book they say, oh, you're my wife in one way or another. I will eat it up every single time. I want it so bad. That's the phase that I'm in right now. Marriage and convenience, I fucking love it. I love it. Like, I don't know what else to say about it except that I love it so much. So I started this book because I was like, marriage of convenience? Great. She works for him. She's his boss. No, he's her boss. Great. I started The Favor by Suzanne Wright. I hope that it focuses on this and not just on me, but in case it doesn't, I will just put up a picture of the cover. I actually ended up reading it on my Kindle because look at this like font thing. Look at this formatting, okay? Look at how small that is. I don't even know if that's gonna focus, but it is so small. I will just read it on my Kindle and probably I'll read it faster. Here's the thing. I did not read it any faster on my Kindle because I got so bored with the story, okay? And let me just tell you, this book is about 330 pages? 333 pages for this romance book that's marriage of convenience, that is boss and assistant working together and they move in and all of that. 333 pages that somehow felt like it read like it was 600 pages. And so I kept going because I just kind of felt like, you know, later on, like something's gonna happen and it's gonna get redeemed for me and like I'm just gonna end up falling in love with it. And imagine if I DNF it and then I just miss out on that. So I kept going, right? I kept going and going and going and going. And then to the point where I was like 80% into the book and I just wasn't gonna DNF. I was like, I'm already 80% in. And then I finished it, and then I was just like, oh my god, that's it. There are some cute moments. I do have highlights in my Kindle when I read it. It just wasn't memorable for me. I'm gonna give this 2 stars. Look at me making good time on this and not feeling like I've been filming for 20 million years. The third book that I read in February, which is one of my highly anticipated reads, or was now one of my highly anticipated reads, was Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. Now, I am such a huge Things We Never Got Over fan. Okay, I love the book. Okay, I love it. And so that I heard was supposed to be a standalone, but then, you know, now we're getting a trilogy in total. One for Knox, one for Nash, and one for my baby, Lucian, which is the 3rd book coming out in September. I am so excited for that. I am so excited for it. Like, I love it. I love it. I can't wait to read about their story. Anyways, Things We Hide from the Light is book 2. And I also made sure that when I read it, that I was feeling fine and not, you know, pressured to get through the book quickly or anything like that. And I just wanted to go in, you know, like no expectations, no standards. And I think that this is not also, again, this is not my favorite book. I loved seeing all of the other characters from book 1. You know, I loved seeing Naomi and Knox and Wei. I loved seeing Lucian and Sloan. I loved just being part of their community again, except I feel like when I was reading this, I really got more excited to read about all of the other characters and seeing all of the Knox and Naomi moments and seeing all of the Lucian and Sloan hating each other moments. I think I was more excited to see them than I really was about the relationship between Nash and Lena. I wasn't like super in love with Nash in book 1 when I read it. Like, I really was team Knox immediately and then team Lucian immediately, like right when I read about him. Because, hello, that this is book 2 in the series, I was like, yeah, I absolutely need that. I need to read it immediately. I need it in my hands. And now that I've read it, I'm kind of just like, okay. For book 3, the setup for it, for Lucian and Sloan, I'm on my knees for them. I am just, oh my god. I just think that they stole the show from me in this book. Lucian and Sloan kind of has like a history, and I feel like it's going to be second chance romance in a way. And they also live next to each other, which is said in this book. They're neighbors. He is just so hot. He's just so hot. So the book itself is going to get 4 out of 5 for me. I really liked it. Very happy that it's in my hands. The cover is stunning, okay? The cover for Things We Never Got Over, Things We Hide from the Light, and Things We Left Behind. The 3 of them together is gonna look so freaking perfect. That's all. Oh my god, look at us. We're on my 4th and last book of the month. I actually really like that I'm not reading that much in a month, because that means that I get through filming my wrap-up that much faster, and then I have fewer books that I need to remember what happened in. Anyway, the next one and the last one is Hail Mary by Kandi Steiner. Love the cover, love the blues. This is actually my first book from Kandi Steiner. My first book that I owned from her was A Love Letter to Whiskey, which I have not read simply because I've seen other people's reaction reading it, and I know that they all ended up loving it. But I also know that it puts them through a roller coaster, and I've seen them get put through that roller coaster, you know? And also because the book is really thick, and I'm sure it reads really fast, you know? Like, I don't even really get intimidated by the size of a book anymore, even though I still kind of do, but not because it's so long, but just because, like, I just feel like it's gonna eat me alive when I read that, so I haven't read it. Hail Mary was my first book, and this is actually the last book in the series. It's a series of, I think, 4 books in total, I believe it is. Yeah, Fair Catch, Blindside, Quarterback Sneak, and then Hail Mary. So, I started the last book in the series. They're all interconnected standalones, so technically, you can read at any point into the story if you want. I just happened to start with the last one, because this was also the latest release, and I got it, and my boyfriend chose this book because I was feeling really indecisive of what I wanted to read. And I just gave him a stack, and I was like, you know what, just choose a book so I don't have to choose, and then I'm just gonna read it, and then I'm gonna commit, right? So he chose this. I read it. I really liked it. Oh my god, you guys, the spice scenes in this book was so hot. Oh my god. We also got back-to-back chapters of spice in here, which I'm gonna tell you what chapter it was. Chapters, I think it was like 25 and 26. Yeah, So this is supposed to be second chance romance kind of, and also kind of like enemies to lovers. Though I wouldn't really say that I got enemies to lovers vibes out of it. I feel like she just hated him more and he was kind of just clueless as to why. But essentially they first meet online playing video games and they kind of like develop a friendship. They go to the same school but they don't know each other in real life. Like she knows of him, he doesn't know who she is. When they actually meet, you know, like it goes really badly, really horribly, and she cuts him off, ghosts him, until like 6 or 7 years later she's living right across the street from him. They go from hating each other to loving each other. There's also a lot of cute scenes in here, and also just a lot of moments that kind of just like make you blush, and you're kind of just like, ah. I really went through this book so fast though. Like I was powering through it. This is about a 420 something page book, and it read like it was 200 pages. That's how much fun I had with this book. I'm gonna give this 4 stars. I really like the epilogue though, because you see all of their friends together, and I imagine that I would have loved it even more. Like it would have had a greater impact on me had I read the other books, you know, because then like you see all of the couples together and stuff. And because it's the last book in the series, you're like, oh, you already see all of the other couples happy and, you know, on their next chapter together, right? And so you would think that, oh, like you already know what happens, why would you read the other books? For me, I think I'm even more excited to get to the other books, especially I think it's Blindside for Clay and Gianna, where they're kind of fake dating. And I think in that book there was that scene where she reads, you know, smutty books, and she, I think, bookmarks them, and he acts them out for her or with her, something like that. I don't know, I saw a video on it, I forgot exactly what it said, but it's something along those lines, and I'm very excited to read that one. But that wraps up my February wrap up. If you read any of these books, I'd love to know what you thought about them. Looking forward to what I'm reading in March, and hopefully I'm out of this reading funk. But just know, March 1st, as I'm filming this, the fantasy book that I'm reading, I love it. I love it. Ballad of Never After. It's a YA fantasy series. Go read it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in my next video.